From 1 to 100. This is a podcast where we talk about building your YouTube community from 1, that's you, to 100 so that you can make a living doing what you love. On the show, we talk about how to build a business as a YouTube creator in the enthusiasm economy. I'm your host, Heather Ramirez, and this is episode 21 of From 1 to 100. Yeah. All right, everybody. Hello. Special shout out to the pre-show folks tuning in during the countdown. So great to see all of you here. Very excited for today's guest. To tell you a little bit about him, we've been YouTube content creator online buddies for a while. Probably one of the first that we met during when we were all kind of quarantining and seeing, kind of figuring out YouTube. He started a podcast early last year, and it has become one of the go-to, in my opinion, when it comes to content creation and hearing about how other full-time content creators and content entrepreneurs have really seen success and grown their business on YouTube and other platforms also. So he's the host of the Hive Podcast, fellow YouTube creator, podcaster, videographer, all of the things. Jared Spink. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? Super excited to be on your show.
Great. Jared, tell them, for anyone who doesn't know about you, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jared Spink. I'm the host of the Hive Podcast and my own YouTube channel with my name, Jared Spink. And I run a creative business doing videography, photography, and all that fun stuff, that goes along with cameras.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, hello. Shout out to everybody. G, Dante Bearded, GovKid Method, Inspirational Connection TV, David Hunt, Mr. Camera Junkie. So good to see you. Roger, Megan, Jan. Hello, everybody. All right, so here's the thing about Jared. We actually got to meet in person, which, I wish I could meet everybody in person. So it was like, I love when we finally get to meet and we can talk. Like, we actually got lunch and talked for like hours. But one of the things that you said is you are super into the business side, just like business in general, but especially when it comes to, being a content creator. And I love that because to me, it's complicated. It's different for everybody. It's still evolving. There's tools coming out every day. It's as simple as it is, because there is so much flexibility and all these new tools popping up. If you have no business savvy, if you have no business experience, it can be hard to figure out. So to kick off, since you talk to a lot of creators, how would you break this down? Like, I think I've talked about this a lot on From 1 to 100, kind of the typical model of monetizing off of YouTube, which is affiliates, sponsorships, and YouTube ads. Is there anything that you would add to that in terms of like, if someone were to ask you, oh, how could you make money on YouTube? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say, like, first off, like, don't look at YouTube as the source of making money. That should really be the last part of it. I view YouTube and like my YouTube channel and even the podcast as more of just an extension of like personal branding and business branding and just marketing overall. If I can make money with the YouTube channel, hey, that's just icing on the cake. But I think you need to, if you want to be a full-time creative and you're looking to make money on YouTube, you need to look at how you're going to make money off YouTube first, if that makes sense. Like, YouTube shouldn't be the mainstream of the revenue. It should kind of help build a multiple streams of revenue around the channel. The channel itself shouldn't be the way you're making money, because it's hard. It's hard to do. And if you look at it that way, you can start making money with a YouTube channel when you're very, very small, like less than 1,000 subscribers. You can start making money with a YouTube channel if you're not focused on actually making money with the YouTube channel. I know that kind of sounds weird and it's hard to wrap your mind around, but like, you need to approach it as more of a marketing arm of what you do versus as the thing you do.
I'm smiling because this is exactly what I'm saying. But like, I honestly think that people have heard me say it enough. So I want you to keep going. Like, so why not? Why wouldn't you think, oh, if I'm going to use YouTube to make money, why do you say don't like have it directly come from YouTube? Why would you say that that's not how you should go about it?
Well, specifically when you're really, really small and if your whole purpose is to make money with your actual channel, you're not going to grow your channel, and you're going to make, to be honest, you're going to make a lot of dumb decisions that are going to affect the longevity of your channel. I've made those stupid decisions, taking like free products and, small lumps of like cash to like promote a product. And like, it's everything Tom, your husband, says not to do. Like I've been there. Like I've made those mistakes, and you look back and you're like, oh, why? Like it's going to hurt your channel if that's your main goal. Like your goal should be to be a full-time creative, and how can you build a business around your YouTube channel and not on your YouTube channel? Because YouTube can go away. Your subscribers can go away. They could just get lazy and not watch your stuff that much anymore. Like we see it in the YouTube numbers, they're going down all the time. And if you solely relied on that, then your business is going to go down. But if you use it as a marketing arm, you can find other areas around your creative business how to make up for what you're losing on YouTube.
Yeah. So if someone were to, how do I ask this? At what point should someone be thinking about like the business side of things? So I think a lot of,
Immediately.
okay,
Yeah.
expand.
Immediately, because and I think I mentioned this to you when we were having lunch, is like I've always had a camera in my hand since I was a little kid. I take pictures. I picked up the camera, put it down a lot as a kid. And like by definition, I am a creative. I've been a photographer my entire life, right? But I don't view myself as a photographer. I actually find like working to be a creative is a struggle for me. Like it's a lot of work. It's hard to find different ways to express my creativity and like to sit down and do it. But the business side comes very, very easy to me. And when you start looking at creativity as a business, and I think if you look at any creator that's been successful, you have to put the business first. Um, I think when we see creators struggle and they say they can't make a living or be full time at it, it's because they're not thinking of the business first. And I mean, we can go down a long rabbit hole
Yeah.
on this when it comes to pricing and clients taking advantage of you. You have to think of business first, and you have to think about what goes into your pricing, and you got to feel confident. Like you have to feel confident about it. That way, if people like question it, you can say, well, like you're not hiring. And this has been a big topic lately. I saw Valentina V tweet this yesterday. The Northrops had a video come out on this yesterday. There is so much that goes into our pricing as a creative that people don't think about. You're not hiring an employee for X amount an hour. You're hiring a business. There's
Yeah.
thousands of dollars worth of gear. There's,
Yep.
you got a home
Exactly.
office. I mean, there's so much that goes into it that
Yeah.
if you don't think about that going into it, you're going to struggle because you're never going to make enough money.
Do you think that your YouTube channel has helped your business? Well, actually, talk about your business. What is your business? And then, like, how has your YouTube channel played a part in it, if any?
Yeah. I mean, my business is doing videography and photography freelance essentially, but I mean, the main source right now is real estate because that's kept me extremely business, and YouTube for sure has helped me because it's helped me with my own like I can't even think of the word I'm trying to think of, but like be more confident in talking to people, because if you can talk to just a camera, you can be confident talking to anyone. But it's also allowed me to experiment and learn different techniques when it comes to photography and videography. So in improving my skills, absolutely, YouTube has had a huge impact on my business because it's improved my skills and the quality of the product I deliver to my clients. And it's also a way for them to say like who I am and like, oh, look at like he knows what he's doing. When you jump on a client call and they see this setup that you're seeing, like it looks a lot better than if you jumped on Zoom. So like people have confidence to like give you their hard-earned money to do stuff for them.
Yeah. So I love how you said that business comes easy for you, because I think for a lot of people that come into YouTube, it is a creative outlet. It starts off as a hobby. So, I mean, business is the furthest thing from, even with Tom, he was like, I refuse to monetize, this is my side thing. That's what the full-time job is for. And I think a lot of us, I don't know. I don't know where this comes from, but there's that, like, the money is like taboo. It's like it taints, as soon as you mix money and creativity, it's like, oh, I don't know, you're selling out or whatever. So there's still this like negative connotation when it comes to it. How would So if someone's going into YouTube of like, this is just a hobby, and I find that interesting because it is just a hobby, but then there is this push of like, let's become a YouTube partner so we can make YouTube ads, ad revenue. Like there's so many there's so many other
Yeah.
ways to make money that's like easier in my opinion. So like, I don't know. What would your advice be to someone who doesn't necessarily see this as a business yet, or might not see the path to get there? So they have a YouTube channel, they're having a lot of fun making videos, but they, like, if you were to ask them how they could possibly make money, they don't know anything outside of sponsorships, affiliates, and YouTube ads. What is something that they could do research on or look at for the ways that you can make money off of YouTube?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is, like, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, it should start as a hobby. Like, unless you're a business already that's trying to have a YouTube channel that's part of your marketing arm, if you're just, you're me and you want to start a YouTube channel, you should start it as a hobby. It shouldn't be to get famous and get rich and to make money, because you're not going to be successful and you're going to give up immediately because it's extremely, extremely hard.
It's got to
But
be a
once you
labor of love.
start, yeah, it's got to be a labor of love. Once you
Yeah.
start, and you're like, hey, I really like doing this and I want to spend more time doing this. That's when you need to start looking at, like, okay, how can I make money so I can do this more often because I like it, and then there's people watching that enjoy it and like it. And I think once you get to that point, the very first thing you need to do before you figure out how much money you need to make is you need to figure out how much it's costing you, right? You need to figure out your expenses, and that's the very first thing you need to do.
Yeah.
I think no matter what business you're doing, is how much money am I spending on this, and how much money do I need to make for myself, and then how much money do I need for the business to invest in future growth, and how much do I need for taxes, right? There's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
You put that all together and you can start figuring out your pricing. But I think the very first thing you need to do, once you have this passion and want to do it full time or more, you need to look at how much it's costing you and how much money you need to make to be able to continue to doing that.
Yeah.
And that number is different for everybody.
Right. Annika's here. So good to see you. So refreshing to hear that people should use YouTube as a tool and not as the main income source. Love this. I feel like I'm in a secret group that knows this. So I'm curious, Jared, how many creators have you talked to on the Hive podcast? Like, do you know off the top of your
head? Well, there's 60 episodes posted.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I've talked to a lot more creators than that, obviously,
right.
But there's 60 live. There's like 62, 64 in the bank, so, or an extra 4 in the bank that haven't come out yet.
And
but
you
yeah,
talk to creators of all niches, all sizes, all backgrounds, all experience levels, all of that. Is there anything, like, I'm curious to pick your brain on the trends, right? So like, you've talked to, you have insight to like this group of successful creators. First of all, was there anything that stuck out to you? Like in terms of a pattern?
Yeah. And you're going to love this, right? Is everybody has a huge passion for what they're doing, because if you don't have that passion, you're not going to do it. You're going to give up, right? Like, think about a job, like,
right.
I was in the beer industry and I loved it, but after a while I just lost that love and that passion for it. And like, then I hate to say, you kind of do everything like half-assed, a little bit. Like, you're just like, you kind of check out a little bit. And so you have to have that passion. And when it comes to creativity, it's pretty cool, because you can pivot very easily to keep that passion. If you're doing a ton of client work and you're kind of getting burned out on it, then start making some stuff for yourself. Figure out what will keep that passion going for you. And that's the number one thing, is everybody that's been successful has had passion for what they're doing, and they're not afraid to pivot to be able to keep that passion and to keep growing.
pivot is the key word, because I think that as on a creative endeavor that's as convoluted as YouTube, it takes so much pivoting. And the passion is what fuels that pivot, right? So you feel like you're coming up against a wall, but it's really about like, okay, what do we build, or what is something that we can, like, a different way that we can get over this wall, instead of just like, okay, the thing that I've been trying is not breaking through. Um, in terms of like monetization, have you noticed patterns with talking to all the people? Because I'm interested, because you've talked to creators of all sizes. Like, maybe here's a question: did everyone know what they were going to sell when they started their YouTube channels, or creating content?
No, absolutely. And you should have an idea, but like if you're okay, so the biggest pattern is everybody kind of did freelance, right? Along the way to help subsidize the YouTube channel, which they had a strong passion for. But eventually, if you keep going on the route with your YouTube channel and focus on your passion and growing that, you can have an idea of what you want to sell or provide for your audience, but pay attention to your audience. Your audience is going to tell you what they need and what they want from you. And then there you go. Like you don't even have to to worry about it that much, because over time your audience will 100% tell you what they need and what they want out of you, and you'll have a direction of what you want to provide. I mean, you've seen it as a creator. Your audience wanted a community. What did you guys do? You guys built a
Yeah,
community for your audience.
exactly. And it seems weird, especially, so the weird thing about YouTube is that like new people are finding you every day, right? So if someone were to discover this, we look like we know what we're doing, but it doesn't take into account like the past 5 years of like experimenting and pivoting and trying over and over again. And even though the Just Create More community, it seems like, oh, it's established, right? It's new, it's a month old, and we didn't have, like, Mighty Networks wasn't even something I found until 2021. Even if I had
Mhm.
wanted to build it last year or earlier, I couldn't have, because
Mhm.
it wasn't a thing that was an option. So I think
Yeah.
that's the interesting part about being an online business owner in 2021, is like it's just so different, and it really is a lot of like, I think the passion fuels the instinct and the gut of like, okay, I think, based on all the data and what you want to do, this is how you're going to take the next step forward.
Yeah, and I
Dancy,
think you look at any successful creator. I mean, look at Peter McKinnon, right? Like with his backpack and his filters, and like the
right,
community was telling, like, "Hey, we enjoy what you create. Can you help us with some of the tools?" So he just went out, instead of like showing, like, "I'm gonna make the tools and sell it to you, and now you can have the same V&D as Peter McKinnon would."
right,
but
right.
but I mean, your audience is going to tell you what they need, and it's your job, if you want to make a living out of this, to figure out how you can monetize on what they need. And it's got to go both ways, right? You got to be appreciative for your audience and provide something of value, right? So because if you don't, you're going to lose your audience really quick, but they'll tell you what they want.
Yeah. Dancy says, Jared looks fantastic. What is the thought process behind the dark live stream set?
um I like dark walls, and it would like, it looks a lot darker on screen. I have one, two, like I got like 14 lights going in here, and it still looks really dark, right? It takes a lot of light to
Yeah.
light a scene. And yeah, no, I like the darker vibes.
Rebecca, good to see you, Rebecca. How often do you readjust your pricing?
Ooh, yeah,
I know
for a
pricing can be a whole
business, yeah,
conversation.
as like as a creative, as a business, I take a look at it in December to see if I want to adjust going into the new year for January. It's not a bad idea to look at it maybe twice a year. I think is smart. Um, but I think adjusting your prices any more than twice a year, you're not going to grow and you're going to lose clients if you're continuing to change your pricing. But yeah, that's my feedback. I usually take a look at it in December and decide in January what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Dan says, I find passion can be burned out when a new passion bubbles up. My passion for coaching, swimming, and water polo started to die when YouTube took over my mind. Consistent Ash is here. I started YouTube in a very low point in my life. It's been my distraction, has helped me out of that hard spot. Robert's here. Loving the great topic today. Let's see. Awesome. Homesick Mac ordered the VND. Great. Uh, so I kind of want to talk a little bit more about not needing this large audience because I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
know this, Jared. This is my thing. I feel like what I have seen a lot of is getting caught up in trying to constantly grow the audience when like constantly growing the audience, like sometimes I honestly feel like, especially if you're at a certain point where there is an existing community there, I think it's easier to figure out like how to monetize off of this existing base rather than to continuously grow that. What do
Mm-hmm.
you think about that?
Oh, sorry, I got really distracted by Tom's latest comment, which I think is really good. As for a YouTube creator, if you are to the point where you're making money off the channel, quarterly rates for sponsorships is actually really really smart because quarter three, it's the busy. I mean, quarter three going into quarter four is the busiest because of
Oh.
the holiday shopping. So your time and them being able to get in front of your audience is way more valuable at the end of quarter three and the beginning of quarter four than it is in quarter one in January where everybody's broke. So
How
that's a good
interesting.
idea, Tom.
There you go. Um,
Okay, sorry, reset.
yeah. So like question is around constantly growing an audience versus monetizing the audience that's already there. What do you think about that?
Mhm. I think you need to not worry about the numbers. And one of the best books, I was actually, when you were asking that question, I was looking over here.
I love me a good book. There
Pat
it
Flynn's
is. I
Super
have
Fans,
that
right?
too. It's up there. I can't
Right?
reach it.
Because it's not about the numbers, it's about building loyalty and audience loyalty. So focus on building your super fans, building loyal, you know, a loyal audience versus the numbers. Because you could have 10,000 subscribers, but if you have 1,000 subscribers and they're way more loyal to what you're putting out there than those 10,000 are, you could make more money with those 1,000 subscribers than you could 10,000. It's all about
Was
building loyalty.
out of the people that you talked to, was there any kind of monetization that was like unique?
Unique.
Yeah. Something that you hadn't
You
thought
know,
of or hadn't heard
not
before.
not really. It kind of honestly, like I wish there was, but most of it's all kind of seem kind of standard. I mean, when when I talked to Pat Flynn and Sean Cannell, I think what they were doing at the time was unique and they were kind of at the
Right.
forefront and they kind of still set that bar. But with so many creatives getting into the field of wanting to be full-time creatives and make money doing that, it has gotten a little crowded and the water's gotten a little muddied with everybody trying to do the same thing. Everybody's selling merch. I have merch coming, so like I mean, I'm jumping on that bandwagon, right? And
Right.
everybody's kind of doing courses, and that's not to like shame any of those like ways of monetization
Yeah.
because they are legitimate ways and they work, and that's why everybody does them. But yeah, I would love to see more unique ways, and I think the most unique is like Pat and Sean both kind of doing their own conferences and stuff.
Yeah, I
The
think
Think
that's
Media does their
cool.
own conference. That's
Live
probably the most
events.
unique way, like getting big enough to do that. But nothing's really stood out to me as like crazy unique, other than those guys being at the forefront of what they were doing at the time.
Yeah. Can you make any suggestions for people who aren't necessarily like in a niche that's like education or something that would allude itself to a freelance, like, to me, okay, you can be a a freelance videographer. I'm a YouTube coach, so of course I can have all the educational products and stuff. I'm thinking more of like an entertainment lifestyle based channel. What are ways that a channel like that could monetize? Because that's the part that I'm always missing. I don't have
Yeah.
enough like experience there.
I mean, neither do I. Like, so it takes some brainstorming, but I think that's fine. But I actually think
Right.
the people that come up with the most unique ideas are the people that you give some time to brainstorm that aren't in that niche, right? Because it's always easier looking in to say, oh, you
Right.
could do this differently and you could do that differently, and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Like, I mean, off the top of my head, like having unique content to people, like a subscription based model, having unique content just for people that are willing to pay a little bit extra, I think is like a no brainer for those kind of niches.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for sure. So if you're in the entertainment lifestyle, I think so much of it is the personality, and
Mm-hmm.
exclusive content does seem just like in the education space. An online course just seems like, of course, eventually you're going to have an online course. I
Yeah.
think exclusive content or membership in like a Patreon type of membership makes sense.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think like, um, uh, especially like you think when I think entertainment, I think like stand up comedians have
mhm.
like they could do a ton on YouTube because it's a struggle to make money as a stand-up comedian, especially nowadays. Like, so if you have a YouTube channel and you can do, record your stand-ups, but also have like live stand-ups for people that are willing to pay and join, and actually like, hey, you can be part of the show, throw me some ideas in the chat and I'll come up on the spot with like good stand-up for it and like coach
Okay,
you along the
so
way. Like you can do all that kind of stuff.
here's what we're gonna do. If anyone here is open to this, um, and you want to make a living on YouTube, or you want your YouTube like you want to be a full-time YouTube creator, and you want some brainstorm ideas for how to monetize off of YouTube, let us know in the comments, and Jared and I are gonna hash this out. I'm curious. Like I'm curious about like what can we come up with. Because for sure it is so much easier to brainstorm for someone else's thing because you're just too close. You just need to ask other people. Um,
Yeah, definitely. It helps to get an outside perspective a lot of
yeah,
the time. No matter what you're doing, you should always ask for an outside perspective.
yeah. Uh, Dan C's here, building your community over constant growth. Community equals organic loyalty. Talking to all your people, how have people built their community? Do you have any insights to that? Like how
Uh,
how would you suggest people cultivate their community?
how could they cultivate their community? I mean, I think being active within the community that you're building on social media, so like Instagram, Twitter is like huge. I mean, you grow super slow on Twitter, but the people that follow you can be very loyal because it's a
Yep.
smaller community. And
Mm-hmm.
then also pulling the trigger and going live on
Yep.
YouTube has been huge. I mean, it took me forever to do it, but like it's so much fun being able to interact and talk to people on live on the stream.
This is funny. Doc is saying the icons on your desktop are triggering his OCD.
Man, reading that, like, what? Oh, in the back, like, I've been working on a huge project up until this point, and like, that's
Oh,
all
that's all the
my.
project? How crazy. Melanie's here. Hello, Melanie. Everyone has a course inside of them. I 100% believe that. Let's see. Entertainment lifestyle channels can teach what to do to start, run an entertainment lifestyle channel. Stand up classes are a thing my neighbor teaches in the studio next door. There you
Yeah, I think
go.
that's kind of the basic way to monetize, right? Is being able to sell your insights and help other people do what you're doing. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer and
That's what
kind
I
of
did. Yeah.
fits into any genre,
Yeah.
like any genre.
Yeah. And you definitely like I think see, this is why I think it's so much easier now because the culture has evolved where it's not like everyone knows what an online course is. It's not this like
Mhm.
mystery internet thing that this thing that you got on the internet. And I think that because the culture has evolved, there isn't you don't have to be like suit and tie professional in order to be a good teacher. I think people know that, right? Like
Yeah.
because it's part of your brand. If you're chill, then be chill on the online course. Obviously, like you want to be.
Yeah, and then like putting a course together is a ton of work, and if you don't want to do that work yet, or you want to put fillers out there, you do consultations and charge for those, or you can do unlisted live chats on YouTube and go live and teach a course live on YouTube and sell access to that. I mean, there's ways to like, you know, dip your toe in the water.
Okay, so here's Homesick Mac. He has a channel about acoustic slide guitar, and I think he's taking us on the challenge on like how to monetize that challenge, how to monetize that channel.
Gotcha. Okay,
So let's
so
go,
first off,
Jared.
lessons, right? Lessons, number one, lessons. Um, and then like merch outside of shirts. Take a note out of Gerald and Dunn's book. He just
Yeah,
came out with his own cables. Like, could you come out with like guitar straps or whatever?
yeah,
Don't you have to have something on your hand to play slide? I don't know anything
yeah.
about guitar, but like you could come up with like your own line of
The
actual
slide.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, like just for starters, your own
Let's
pick.
see. So if your channel is if your channel is entertainment, then I would go, live streams, like members only exclusive content.
Yeah.
If your channel is teaching people how to do acoustic slide, then yeah, go. I mean, I think you could do both, but yeah, going the teaching side seems like a no-brainer also.
Yeah. But let's also keep in mind like these are all just one means of monetization and you want as many as you can
Many.
possibly think of because one can go away like super quick. So you want as many as possible.
Could you give me an average of like all the creators that you've talked to? Like how many they have, would you say? Like an
Oh,
estimate?
I mean, I don't even think so many. I mean, you look again at like Sean and Pat, like
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have to sit down with like their accountant and figure out how many different sources of revenue they have coming in. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to say, but I think if you can start with like 3 to 4 as a creator, if you want to get going full time, if you can figure out 3 to 4 different streams of revenue to get started, I think it's huge. And they'll be small at first, but it'll make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. Andrew Schultz is a perfect example of a comedian using YouTube to bolster his career and income. He changed the game with his quick hitter videos, led to a Netflix stand up and other opportunities. Yeah. See, that's another thing is like, uh, if you're building an online presence and you're creating content, you're also building a body of work that will lead to opportunities that you can never even think of or that you can't do on
Right.
your own.
And
So
it
like,
just goes back to what we were initially talking about. I think if you focus on YouTube as YouTube as the thing, you're not going to succeed, right? Like it needs to be so much bigger than YouTube. Like that's
it's a
why everybody hates the
piece.
word YouTuber, right? Like there is
Yeah.
no such thing as a YouTuber. There's a content creator, right? I make YouTube videos. I make, I do a podcast. I do freelance work. I
Right.
work with brands to do their photography. Like it need to be a content creator, and YouTube just needs to be just another avenue. It could be the main platform, but it shouldn't be the only thing. Like you got to think bigger than YouTube. We got to get out of that mindset of just thinking YouTube, YouTube, YouTube.
Yeah, because it's just, unless like, some people could do it. And I'm not saying like it's a bad thing, but like also I'm speaking from experience of like having done this for 5 years and YouTube, like getting paid from YouTube is still one of my smallest streams of income, and I've been doing this full time since day one. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but I did start off as a freelancer. So I know that not everybody can make that leap. Roger says, I hope I sometime in the future can be a full time content creator on YouTube. I think most of us doing YouTube has this thought in the back of their mind when starting doing this. Yep.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's a great goal, but I really I hate to say it, but like I think the days of being a full-time YouTuber, if we want to, say that, I mean I could be totally wrong, but I think those days were like are close to being over. Like I think you need to think way bigger than just a full-time YouTuber. You need to think of yourself as a brand first and foremost and build your brand and not just your channel. So what is your brand? Right? It needs to extend to Instagram, it needs to extend to Twitter, it needs to extend to Facebook if you're on Facebook or whatever, and it needs to be all over the place. And your focus needs to be on building that brand, whatever it is, versus than just your YouTube channel.
yeah.
Got to think bigger.
Yeah. And I think it is thinking bigger, but because we're saying bigger doesn't necessarily mean like it's more, you know, monumental of a task. Like I think it's easier because as much as I believe that it's never been more simple to start today. Like if you started today, you literally there's the Just Create More community. I'm a YouTube coach. There's so many online courses. There's so many resources than there were 5 years ago to help you navigate how to do this. I totally lost my train of thought.
But you're right. It is easier when you start thinking more
Yeah.
broadly instead of so narrow. It is easier. It really is easier to grow when you think more broadly than just so narrow. I know we're told like the riches are in the niches, and like you should figure out exactly what niche you want to go in, but that doesn't mean that that niche only needs to go down one path in one area, just YouTube. It should be an overall brand. So think
Yeah.
broadly, not narrow.
So the thing I was going to say that I forgot was working for YouTube is hard, you know, and if you
You're
make
gonna hate
them,
it if that's it.
if exactly, right? So like the thing about YouTube that sucks is like they're the worst boss. You get zero feedback, you know, you just see numbers, but they're not taking into account you. They're
Mhm.
If you disappeared and stopped, it doesn't matter to them, right? Because there's just another creator who's going to fill your space. But dude, I still believe this. YouTube is the best sounding board for your message, second to none. Like I totally believe that. And I think it's the best platform to build a community because, you know, I just think that it's so much harder on like to build the affinity that you would through Twitter is going to take a lot of tweets than
Yeah.
like, you know, watching 3 YouTube videos. You're already going to feel like you know the person. Let's see. Tom is saying, me, of course, is super easy and definitely not exhausting at all. I
I think
don't.
he's being sarcastic, right?
He is being sarcastic. And so, like, we're definitely not saying it's easy. And that's like saying something because Tom is a professional teacher. But
Well,
it's
I think there's that misconception, right? That any way you're going to monetize as a creator, oh, that's easy. It's just
right.
fun,
You just
right?
make
And that's where,
videos.
and that's where as like a freelancer, people start taking advantage of you, right? Because they think it's easy that you just do it for fun. Like,
Yeah.
no, you know, as a real estate photographer, you know, like if you want the grass replaced in the front yard because there is no grass or it's dead, like I'm not just going to go do that extra for free for you. Like a lot of
Right.
creatives will, and I think the ones that do that aren't confident in themselves and their pricing, and they hurt the overall community. But like if your boss at your job said, hey, I know you worked 8 hours, but like can you take an extra 20 minutes and go do this one task for me? Yeah, no problem, don't worry, you don't have to pay me. No, you're not going to do that. Like you're going to stay clocked in, you're going to go do that and get
Yeah.
paid. So same thing, like if a client's asking for more work, it's more time. Like time is money, the way, no matter how you break it down. Like that's the way the world goes round. Time is
So,
money. Charge your
what
clients for stuff.
what would your advice be to someone who is like getting their first, hey, we want to send you a free thing? Like it seems like a why would you say no to that? So why would you say
Uh,
no to that, Jared?
to say no, because that one, like depending the size of your channel, like I hate to say it, like if you're a small channel, you're probably getting reached out by brands that make junk, guys. Like I'm just being honest, like it might sound cool, like, and I've said yes to that stuff, and like you get it and it's junk. Just say no. Like
Yeah.
what are you gonna, you're never gonna use it. You're gonna make a video because you're like, oh, I have something to make content around, but you're gonna throw it away or never use it again or give it away. It's probably junk. So unless you get
They
hit up by like a name brand,
mhm.
I just say no, guys. You can make
Yeah.
content about stuff you already have and save your money and buy, you know, whatever you guys want to buy in the future. That's going to be way better than this piece of junk
No
that someone's willing
namer.
to say.
Yeah. Exactly. Cuz what those people are doing are just they're just if you say
They're
no,
taking
they're
advantage
just
of you.
yeah, they're just paying for they're just trying to get the exposure, you know? So like they're
Yeah.
going to as many um
They're
like
doing the
that's
same
their
exact
job.
thing to hundreds of
Right.
other YouTubers, hoping that even if a handful say yes, they're going to get in front of a ton of people that they never would have got in front of. So don't take it from me, who's done that stupid stuff before. Don't do it. Just say no. And if something seems cool and they are offering to pay you, because I think some of these smaller brands are getting smart, because I also get hit up now and they're like, hey, we'll pay you. Okay, cool. Like I'm open to it. Like tell me about the product and like what's the rate? And they'll throw something out there that's like $80. And I say, absolutely not. Here's another number, and you'll never hear from them again. You don't have to worry about getting bothered, because that other number, even though it's not that high, just they don't want to pay.
Yeah. Homesick Mac, thanks for the super chat, man. Coffee's on me. Thanks for the input. Awesome. Ken Young is here. 100 to thinking bigger than YouTube. Priority around the brand first. Yes, exactly. And I think
that kind of goes to like why you say no to a lot of stuff, is because you get excited in the moment and it's very, very easy. But when you take a step back and you think more broadly and you think about a brand and you try to put your business hat on and think about it as a business, is this going to help? Is this not? Is this not even going to make a difference? And at a smaller channel, when somebody's trying to give you free stuff, that stuff is junk and it's not going to make a difference. And it may even hurt your channel. So just say no.
Focus on building your empire, not just your channel. Yes. And like another thing that I think that, I would say YouTube creators, let's say 1,000 subscribers and under, I think that there isn't enough credit given to you as a creator in terms of the skill set that you're building, because to you, like, this is what brands don't have, is they don't have that creativity. They don't have the experience of making the YouTube videos. They'll never have the connection that you have with your audience, no matter how small it is. They'll never have that the way that a creator has with their community. So definitely, if you feel kind of unsure of yourself, you are still developing a skill set that is so valuable. It's crazy. Ken has never heard of the riches are in the niches. Well, there you go. The riches are in the niches. Who did I hear say that? Oh, Sean.
Pat
Sean
Flynn. Sean and Pat say that all the time.
Let's see. Everyone and channel brings their own expertise, but the truth is you're going to hate everything you get into. You've got to find what you really love. Yes. If you want, you can give away 10 full access passes to Leap, and I'll take care of them. Feeling generous today. Oh, wow. I have no idea how to do that. You know what, Doc? We'll do it on the couples table, because then I'll know at the beginning of the show. Also, I want to give a shout out to Doc, who sponsored 1/5 of this microphone. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let's see. When people used to say to me, do this and we'll give you exposure, I would tell them, as an ex-paramedic, people die from exposure.
That's a good comeback.
That's funny. All right.
I mean, that does it. I love that comment, Doc, because so many people do that when you're first starting out and they feel like they could take advantage of you and do that. And it's like, do you go to like a brand new restaurant? Like, hey, give me one of everything on the menu and I'll tell everybody about it.
Yeah.
No, like it doesn't work, guys. You got to pay.
Yeah. And I think like, thankfully, again, it goes back to the culture has evolved. I think that, it's interesting how content creation made its mark in the world, because it did start out with a bunch of young people with their phones taking pictures, making videos, and it's like, well, that doesn't take any skill. What are you talking about? You didn't have to go to school for that. And so, the compensation was little to nothing, but 100% this, the thing that I'm advocating for is that this can be a profession. Like I think eventually that this is something that is a blend of psychology, economics, entrepreneurship, marketing, all of that stuff. And what's cool is that you could just you can apply it to the thing that you're obsessed about, which is, Annika's here in the chat. She just started a podcast about living on a sailboat and is like totally applying this whole enthusiasm economy. Okay, so here, let me, as we're wrapping this up, Jared, I wanted to run my new formula by you. Okay. So the enthusiasm economy. I've been talking about the passion economy. Passion economy to me is you use YouTube to build a community of 100 people, right? So that you can eventually get 100 people to pay you $1,000 over the period of 12 months by offering a transformational product or service. The problem I was running into with the passion economy is that I feel like it is very like it lends itself to educational type industries, like coaching, like people who are going to develop online courses, group coaching, consulting, stuff like that, freelancing. It lends itself to that. But then the lifestyle, entertainment, content creation, like people who aren't necessarily going to create, like where the tutorial based content doesn't come as natural, like it didn't fit into that. And so I thought of the enthusiasm economy. So the enthusiasm economy is like, first of all, it doesn't matter how good of a YouTube creator you are, because the thing that is the foundation for everything is your enthusiasm about the thing that you're obsessed about. Everything rests on that. Your enthusiasm fuels your content, fuels your drive. It's the passion, right? But then it also translates to the people who are also enthusiastic about that thing. And when you connect those two things, you build a community. And from there, three pieces, okay? One, affiliates, because I think affiliates just lend itself like, okay, we've got Homesick Mac who's doing acoustic slide guitar. All right, here's the exact, like, guitar pedals I'm using, or here's the exact, like, guitar shops or whatever that I'm using. If you want to get it to, cool, here are the companies, or here's the affiliate links. So I think affiliates work because it's so, you can really match it to the thing that you're enthusiastic about, versus like, okay, we're going to get money from YouTube. Doesn't matter who the creator is or what they're doing. It's just like, it's not directly related to the enthusiasm. Second thing is a digital space, something like Mighty Networks, because I think that with the enthusiasm economy, just like for the passion economy, online courses seem like the no-brainer. I feel like the no-brainer for the enthusiasts is to bring them together. So if you are super excited about retro cameras, like bring all the people in the world who are just excited about retro cameras together and get them to chat, get them to hang out, get them to start like, geeking out over that thing in a paid community. And then you could do, they could start hosting events within the community, all of that, stuff that we're doing in Just Create More. And then the third piece to this is specialized product or services. So eventually Homesick Mac can develop his own slide guitar thing. Or you could start doing, freelancing. I'm thinking of Todd Killian, who's like the Christmas Clatter, can come up with his own Christmas ornament that's like specific to his channel or something like that. That part is where you'd have, because it's specialized, you would have to get more creative. Mm-hmm. But what do you think of that? That's the model.
I think that's a great like starting point too, right? And I think other ways of monetizing will open itself up once you start going down that path. I think there could be a 2B, and that would be exclusive content. So like you bring them together in a community, and then 2B would be like making exclusive content for that community, which, you guys already do that, which is
awesome. Yeah. And like, I really like this because there is no part of this that makes it where you're dependent, or at least 100% dependent on one platform, right? I still think that YouTube is the best, but you don't have to have, I think by nature of being obsessed with retro cams, there's not 100,000 people out there who are obsessed with retro cams. Like, I'd be surprised, So I think enthusiasm economy lends itself to being just naturally niche or niche. And I think that's exciting.
Yeah.
And I just think it's easier.
And I mean, enthusiasm is what drives economy, not necessarily passion. We buy things because we get enthusiastic about it, not necessarily passionate about it. When Heather, when I was listening to your guys' podcast, or Tom's podcast, when she has insomnia and she's buying stuff on Instagram, it's not necessarily because she's got a passion for it. It's because she's enthusiastic about what she just saw.
Exactly. Dude, that's like a great way to put it. Exactly. Let's see. Jeff is here, or Smitty. Smitty is here. Exposure. They ask musicians to play for exposure all the time. It's a terrible idea. Respect yourself and your skills. Guess how many gigs they offered me for exposure over the years. Elbow up through the five. Let's see. Annika says, love the affiliate idea for the enthusiasm economy. Although I had such a facepalm moment with Amazon affiliates, why does it require a USD bank account? Not cool. Best regards from Canada. Does it?
I don't know. So I just went through, and so the affiliate idea is awesome. It's a lot of work, guys, initially to get started, right? Because I had a handful of like Amazon affiliates with multiple countries, right? I went through and just, took 2 hours and dialed in like every country I could possibly sign up for an affiliate. And there's still a handful I know that I couldn't because my address is not in that country. Like I think it was China and
Oh.
Brazil or Mexico maybe. Like I just couldn't sign up because it wouldn't let me change the country of my address, and so it wouldn't let me sign up. It was really weird.
Interesting. I had no idea. Uh, and I will say affiliates has evolved. So, like Ecamm, I'm an Ecamm
Mm-hmm.
affiliate. I think that companies are now thankfully understanding the like whole influencer, micro influencer, like there's a lot of online subscriptions that just do you want to sign up as an affiliate? Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like in the dashboard.
And
Um
sign up and use Genius Link just for everything. Just you like if you're gonna link something, use a Genius Link just because you know where that link is being clicked. It's so awesome. I just signed up for it not too long ago, and it's like blows my mind that I can see if they clicked it from a YouTube video or
oh,
from
I didn't
somewhere
know
out. Like
that.
it's just so great. I love it.
I don't use Genius Link, but Tom does. I should.
It's great.
Um Amazon wanted a USD or Euro account. There's a way around a third party, I think. Ah, interesting, interesting. Tom says, I've said it a million times, read affiliate agreements. Amazon specifically has a truckload of very specific rules that are easy to break on accident. Doc says they allow eChem affiliates from all over the globe. Just saying, the affiliate manager is an extremely handsome guy that lives in Hawaii. Okay, Jared, to close it off, tips on uh YouTube content creation, and because you're a rock star podcaster, tips on, let's say, building a brand as a content creator.
Building a brand as a content creator. Well, first off, you like Heather says all the time, make sure you have a passion for it before you get into it. Because if you're doing it for the money, you're gonna fail because there isn't a lot of money to once you like initially. So don't start for the money, start for the passion. And I say it all the time, just get started. But just because everyone says just get started, just hit record, doesn't mean you can't do that with a plan. So just get started, but get started with a plan. Put a list of video ideas, have 10, 20, 30 ideas written down that you want to make and start making that content and be patient. That's the biggest thing. Be patient because as much as like as a content creator, we start recording content and filming content and finishing it. We want to get it out there to the world. But the biggest thing to grow is consistency. And so it's so important just to have a bank of content ready to go all the time. So make a handful of videos or podcasts, then start rolling a show out a week. It's going to help you long term. It's going to keep your sanity because if you take a week off because you're tired, you're still going to have content to put out. I think that is so huge. And then when you're thinking about it as a brand, do you need a logo? Do you need colors? And if you decide yes, stay consistent for as long as possible. And even if you do like a brand refresh, you look at any successful company that does a brand refresh, it's a refresh. It's not a total redesign. So the colors kind of stay the same. The logo kind of stays the same. So I think from a branding perspective, really give a lot of thought to that because that's going to be your brand and what you're growing with. And even if you have to do a redesign, it's a redesign, like it's refresh, not a total redesign.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Jared when it comes to branding because I think he does it so well. Definitely go check out the Hive podcast. Any of Jared's links, I mean, you will see the uniformity, the consistency in tone, in colors, in aesthetic, all of that. It's it's like it's just it's so recognizable. I was gonna say unrecognizable. It's so recognizable.
I mean, you do a great job too. You look at any of your stuff and it's bright and it's purple and it's colorful, right? And then same with my stuff. Like it's a little dark, it's got a little bit of yellow, it's a little muted. Like, and you look at the branding, then you look at my set, like it all goes a little bit hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely. And have fun with this part. So, there you go. Ken, just subscribe to Jared's YouTube channel. Yeah, Jared's YouTube channel definitely has a lot of nuggets of gold. And you can also check out the Hive Podcast wherever you
And I'm doing a lot of live streams lately. So
yes.
That's fun.
All right, Jared. So thank you so much. I don't want to keep you, but do you want to direct anybody anywhere? I know we just talked about your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so go to the YouTube channel. You know, it's just youtube.com // Jared Spink, or go to hivepodcast.org.
Yes, all the links are in the description underneath this video. And so great to have you guys here. Actually, next week, my guest will be GovKid Method, who is in the chat somewhere, Derek. We're going to be continuing this conversation about the passion/enthusiasm economy, so definitely don't want to miss that. Jared, thanks for being here. You're awesome, and I'm sure we'll work on something again pretty soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
See you, everybody. Bye. Where's my outro? Ready, set.